On Larry King Now, singer, actor, producer, Todrick Hall.
Sometimes I have to run around a track 14 times to equal someone else's one, but I'm willing to do that because I think it's so important for some little African-American kid or some gay kid or some kid who just feels different and can look on television or on YouTube or on RuPaul's Drag Race and say like, I could be there because that guy did it.
Plus,
the line, shade never made anybody less gay. The audience erupts and they scream that part. And I just never thought I would live to see a day that that would be the case and that people would be like screaming this anthem because they felt like it was something necessary and that we needed to change.
That's next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. I'm Dennis Miller, filling in for Larry today from New York City. Joining us is Todrick Hall. Todrick is a talented singer, actor, director, producer, choreographer. He appeared on the 9th season of American Idol. I think Simon was still there then. He made it to the semifinals. From there, Todrick gained a huge following on YouTube, where he created many viral videos. Starred on Broadway as Lola in Kinky Boots, Billy Flynn in Chicago. I think he goes way back. I think he was into Color Purple maybe 10 so years ago. He recently appeared in the Broadway production of Waitress, which I'm not very hip to, so we'll talk to him about that. And earlier this year, he had co-executive produced Taylor Swift's massive hit, You Need to Calm Down. Todrick will reprise his role as Lola in Kinky Boots on the West Coast in February 2020. Todrick, how are you, my friend?
I am fantastic. So nice to see you.
Nice to meet you, my friend. It's nice to see somebody in the middle of it. It's all exploding for you. But usually is the case when you pull on that thread and look at somebody's work schedule for the decade prior to it. You've worked your ass off, man. You deserved this.
Thank you so much. I have definitely been a hustle bug and just been taking every opportunity I can and just trying to shake the hands of every person I get to meet. I'm having so much fun on top of everything. It is work, but I would do everything that I'm doing for free, and that is to me like the true American dream.
Well, you're back in Plainview ages ago. I think that's your town in Texas,
Yeah.
right? When
Yes,
did
sir.
you first get the bug? When did you know that you were a multi-talented entertainer? And what steps did you take at first?
Well, I was in the library at my elementary school, and I was found by the gifted and talented recruiter at my local elementary school. And she found me and she gave me 6 boxes, and they were like, we're gonna test you for this gifted and talented program. And each one of the boxes had like a squiggly line and you had to turn it into something. And I was going through a massive Wizard of Oz phase at that point, which has not ended since. I'm still obsessed with the story. And I turned each box into one of the characters. I did Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, the Lion, and the 2 witches. And from then on, it was history. I became, I would like to say, her favorite student. And I got to go on so many trips with her. Her husband didn't love seeing musical theater, so she would take me to see the shows as her +1.
She's heaven sent for you, brother. You know
And
that.
it just changed my life, like walking into the room and smelling the fog and seeing the curtains and hearing the orchestra warm up. I knew immediately that this is, I didn't know what I was going to do, but something that involved entertainment and being in theater.
I looked at Taylor Swift from afar, and I would think in an odd way, when she was quiet and unto herself about her beliefs and that, I thought they're almost bullying her about coming out against bullying.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, what a weird trip for a young woman.
Yeah, it has been an insane experience to watch that happen because I go online and I've heard for the first few years of our friendship, people say she's not outspoken enough, she's not speaking, she's not using her platform to do things to help people and to help you specifically, talking to me as a person who was openly gay in the public eye. And now that she's doing it, there are some people who have an issue with the fact that she's being such a huge advocate for the queer community. But I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world when I walk around and I hear the song playing, or I hear it playing on the radio, or even at the VMAs when the line, shade never made anybody less gay, the audience erupts and they scream that part. And I just never thought I would live to see a day that that would be the case and that people would be like screaming this anthem because they felt like it was something necessary and that we needed the change. And so I love the fact that she's doing it. I love that she's being so unapologetic about her beliefs now, and I'm rooting for her every step of the way and just so proud that she's come so far.
Well, listen, sometimes when you have everything, you need a close friend you can trust.
Aw.
And I'm glad you seem co-executive producer is one thing. That's sweet. It's a nice credit. I'm glad you guys did good work together.
Yes.
I'm sure she gets on the other side of that curtain and she's looking around thinking, I got to talk this out with Todrick. I don't know who the hell else to talk to.
No,
So
those
good
are
for
the.
you, man.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. No one has ever said that out loud, but it is really nice for me to get to know the human being that she is, more importantly than the events that we get to go together.
Now listen, I'm trying to think of Plainview. That must be an ass-kicker town in a way. And when I would take my sons to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas,
Yes.
and I was heartened by what I saw there. Because when I was a kid, man, there were cliques.
I love that. I don't want you to discredit what you're doing, because you being so open-minded to even bring your children to an environment like that is like what everyone needs to be doing. It's such a small thing to do, but it's the most important thing that we as Americans or as a human being on this planet right now can do. So I love the fact that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think it is happening, and I hope that we don't get disappointed in it, that it doesn't happen totally overnight. That's not the way the human race works.
No, I know.
But I also do think the pebble's have been pushed.
Yes.
And it rolls each rotation and accrues more snow, and eventually you're gonna have a big avalanche where all that stuff falls by the side, I think.
I 1000% agree. I love the musical Hamilton. I'm a huge theater buff, but the line, look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. I love that line of the musical because I feel that way now, even though I wish, obviously in a perfect world, that everybody would be accepted and racism and homophobia and transphobia and all of these things didn't exist. The fact that they do exist and that people are around to fight for them and to stand up and to picket and to change people's minds and hearts, and through, just using their voices or through music or through storytelling or through movies is like so powerful. And I'm glad that we're here and I'm getting to experience it, because watching them announce that gay couples can now get married was like a moment I will never forget, and was so powerful. I get chills now just thinking about it. To be alive when that happened, and to say that I played even the smallest of parts by talking to my kids that watch me on social media, that's amazing, and that's how change is formed. So, and I love that we're having these conversations.
They need to see somebody ebullient and gay and happy they're gay and happy about life, and then they look up and they don't feel like the pariahs that they always did. That's a touching part of life.
Yeah, sometimes it takes change in your own life. A lot of people are out picketing until they realize that their own son or their own grandchild. Sometimes if you stop and take a look at your own house and your own backyard, as Judy Garland so beautifully says in The Wizard of Oz, it's amazing how just that will change your mind and change your heart and help you have compassion and empathy for people who you didn't think that you had anything in common with, because it might be the people in your own home that are struggling with these same things.
Young Todrick all grown up and being wise. Next, how American Idol helped launch his successful career and his Broadway career. Don't go away. We're talking to Todrick Hall on this edition of Larry King Now. Welcome back to Larry King Now. I'm Dennis Miller, sitting here with actor, singer, dancer, Todrick Hall. Now, I have something I want to ask you, and this is just an old square question on my part. When I was young, and we talked earlier about the demarcation of the different groups, the guys who were mean to homosexuals used queer. And I'm wondering, now it's at the end of the LGBTQ.
Yes.
And is it an inoculative effect for people? What is the difference between gay and queer? And why do people use what used to be a pejorative in my day? Now, is it to say, well, I can say it about myself and you can't? Or what is the theory behind queer?
I don't think that it's that right now, but also like the times always are changing. And I think you have to, even myself, every single day I'm being educated on, like exactly, it's difficult for me to know how to navigate the non-binary group of people who want to be called they, them, their. I'm work every single day. The only thing I can do is wake up and be humble enough to take notes and apply them to my life for the next day. But right now, people
so it's a
just
fluid
encompass.
process.
They fully encompass the LGBTQ plus community and just say queer community, and it's now not an offensive term. But I do remember that that was the case. If someone called you queer,
people used to hurl that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about being on American Idol. Now, I think that I always loved the mix they had of the judges, where they'd have a good cop, bad cop situation. But in some ways, you could see that the approbation of Simon Cowell when he dug you. That resonated. I
That
mean,
was like the before there were verified checks on social media of Simon Cowell and his little
oh, that's a
white
good way of
T-shirt
putting
that
it.
was too small for him gave you a compliment. That basically sealed your fate to get to the end of the show, or that you were going to get voted off early but become the biggest star because Simon Cowell was rooting for you. But yeah, it's insane. Being on that show was such a crazy whirlwind experience because it was my first time on national television. I was the
Right.
biggest fan of American Idol ever. I voted every season for the people that I wanted. I could probably list off people in the top 10 of every single season. And to be on that show was just so eye-opening and so heartbreaking for me because I realized that I was playing a character on a TV show, that it wasn't necessarily just a reality competition. Like your story, it wasn't about a talent competition. It was about people falling in love with
Also,
the person.
they have a narrative and all that behind the scenes.
Yeah, I just think that just in general in America, we love to fall in love with people's journey and their backstory and where they came from and their struggle, and that sways our opinion about whether or not we are going to call and vote for them as a singer or a vocalist or an artist or not. And so that was difficult for me to understand, but it was such an important important lesson for me to understand, because now I don't believe that I'm the greatest singer ever, and I don't think that I'm the most talented person in the world, but I think there are a lot of kids that are out there that see the hard work that I do and see that sometimes I have to run around a track 14 times to equal someone else's one, but I'm willing to do that because I think it's so important for some little African-American kid or some gay kid or some kid who just feels different and loves musical theater in a town where no one understands him can look on television or on YouTube or on RuPaul's Drag Race and say, like, I could be there because that guy did it and he's from Plainview, Texas. And so it's worth it for me to be able to do that and to get to meet the kids outside at the stage door of the Broadway shows that I do. It's just so like,
Yeah, you got a responsibility now,
it's,
man.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You got a gift, you got joy in your life, you got fun, you got talent,
Yeah.
and you got to answer the call.
Yeah, but I love answering the call. Like, I pretty much never send that call to voicemail because I just think it's an important call to answer. And I love meeting these kids because they are the reason why you're able to do what you do.
Now, tell me about Broadway. Do you like the regimented schedule, or
I
what?
do. I love it. It's like I feel like I go to a boot camp, and it's just so fun to be able to re-explore the characters every single day, even though it feels very Groundhog's Day and like and because every single day you're walking into a room and experiencing the same story, and that can be a little bit like boring and mundane for somebody who enjoys having different things happen. I live for spontaneity. I love waking up every day and not knowing what's going to happen. But when I'm on Broadway, I just love the challenge of being able to execute 8 shows per week. I feel so accomplished at the end of the 8-show week when I lay down and say, I made it through that. My voice is still intact. My body is still intact. And I have one day to rest up to do it again.
You feel like a pro. It's important to feel.
Yes. No, it feels, everything that you just said, it feels awesome. And the thing that I love about it the most is that when you're in LA, like, the sorcery that happens in the editing room is so powerful, and even on social media, but on Broadway, it's the one place, I would say Broadway and Cirque du Soleil are two of the two forms of entertainment that still exist where there's no faking it, there's no tracks, there's no lip syncing. You either can do it or you can't do it. And you can either do it 8 shows a week or you don't have the chops to do it. It's a very specific thing. A lot of people can sing in the studio for one day and then go rest up for a week and a half to get their voice back. But it's a very specific muscle and technique to being able to make it through an 8-show week. And I just love that because I feel like the most talented people I've ever known and the most talented people that exist they're on Broadway.
Yeah. After the break, Todrick gives us insight into his latest album. Plus, I think he's got a new project coming up called Todrick Hall Musicals. I want to talk to him about that. We get to know him better in a round of If You Only Knew. That's a little quick back and forth where we get a Rorschach on what makes his being work. Right back with Todrick Hall. Good cat, right after this. Welcome back to Larry King Now, sitting here with Todrick Hall, a jack of all trades. He had House Party 1, and on Thursday, just recently, House Party 2 came out. Tell me about the project. How do you describe your music?
Well, there's actually going to be three parts, but only the first two are out right now. And the first one I put out for Gay Pride season, so it's very dancey music that you would hear in a club, a Gay Pride parade, or something like that. Just being unapologetically yourself and free, and love is love and diversity, and that's what that album was about. This last album was a little bit more hip and more urban because I like to think in my shower that I'm a rapper, and so it's a little bit more urban. But the third one that's going to come out is very singy because a lot of my most popular songs are rap songs, but I love to sing beautiful melodies.
Yeah, show off your pipes.
Yeah, so the third one is going to be like a lot more singy, a lot more personal and vulnerable, and I'm really excited because the tour is going to have so many costumes. I love costumes and wigs, and like I'm trying to have 20 costumes if I can.
I wanted to ask you real quickly before we went on about Todrick Hall musicals. New venture for you. What is it?
So when I was in high school, long story short, I had a teacher who was kind of a hater. I decided to put on my own production of The Wizard of Oz, and they called the company that owned the rights to The Wizard of Oz to tell me basically that I couldn't put on the show illegally. And I was so heartbroken, and my mom was like, we can find a way around this. I found out that the story was in public domain, so I wrote my own version of The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if I would ever have known that I could write songs, especially not at that age, had that teacher not called the company on me.
And so buzzkilled the project.
Exactly. So then I started writing these musicals. They're modernized retellings of classic fairy tales like Hansel and Gretel, The Wizard of Oz, Cinderella, The Ugly Duckling. And I've been putting these shows on for years, and now we are releasing the rights for kids across the country, community theaters, regional theaters,
so they don't
high
run
schools.
into the same wall.
Exactly, and now they'll be able to put on these Todrick Hall musicals at their own schools, and I'm so excited to go see them and to see them.
What a sweet idea.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. It's probably the thing I'm the most excited about in my life right now.
TH, you've got a good heart. All right, now we're going to play a game called If You Only Knew, rapid fire questions. Let's play the game here. Childhood celebrity crush.
Before or after I came out of the closet?
Well, before.
I would say before I came out of the closet, maybe Raven Simone. Maybe still after.
And then after?
I would say Ryan Felipe.
Funniest or strangest fan encounter?
Oh, yikes. I've had the ones that are appropriate. I've just had fans follow me and stay out at my house overnight and then send me pictures of myself walking to McDonald's in the morning. So that's happened before.
There you go. Favorite YouTube video you put out? What's your most popular one, and is it your favorite one?
My most popular one is Nails, Hair, Hips, Hills, which just came out recently. It has now 17 million views in the past 2 months. Yeah, so that's probably my most popular. But my favorite video that I probably put out is Straight Out of Oz, which is like it's an hour
Straight
long.
Outta Compton about Oz.
Yeah, it's about my life story. It's Wizard of Oz. It's an hour long, and I love that album.
Biggest splurge.
Biggest splurge is probably on bags. I went through a major bag phase where I would buy like Louis bags, Gucci bags.
Like Birkin bags?
Yeah. Lots of them. Shoes. I have a lot of shoes.
Favorite Taylor Swift song? I think I have
Style is my favorite Taylor Swift song ever. I love that song.
Biggest fear?
Biggest fear is probably heights and roller coasters. Yeah.
A food you can't stand?
I don't like tropical. I don't know if you would consider them to be tropical, but pineapples, bananas, coconuts, like nothing like that. I will not eat.
What keeps you up at night?
Oh, Big Brother. Watching episodes of Big Brother keeps me up at night.
Something we should be paying more attention to?
I would say trans rights. I would love that, and anti-bullying, even though people are talking about it. Yeah, I think those are two things I would love to pay more attention to. And music in schools. That's the first thing to come out of any school when there's budget cuts. And while I love football and basketball, I just think that music and the arts are equally as important.
Stranded on a deserted island, what do you bring with you?
How many items do I get?
I'll give you 3 because you're a good man.
Okay, a cell phone, a charger.
Yeah.
And I have this pillow that I travel with everywhere that a fan gave me, and I just feel like at home when I have that pillow. So probably my Mickey Mouse pillow.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years, man?
I want to be happy. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I would love to be an EGOT winner, but more importantly, I just want to be able to really strive to like be in the moment of wherever I am. I want to be able to live comfortably and have a great time and surround myself with people. Andre DeShills on his Tony Award speech this year said, surround yourself with people whose lies light up when you walk in the room. And I think that that's like the most beautiful thing in the world, that you will be around people that make you equally as happy as
You in love right now?
I'm not, but I'm in love with the idea that I want to be in love.
That's all you need. That's the spark. We've got a lot of fan questions for you, Todrick. We'll have you answer some of them when we come back. Don't go away. I'm with Todrick Hall. Welcome back to Larry King Now. We're with the amiable Todrick Hall. We got some social media questions for you.
Okay, can't wait.
Ocular Nervosa on Twitter wants to know, how are you adjusting to a post-waitress life?
I don't even have time to adjust per se, because I go immediately into recording more to finish my third album, and then I go into rehearsals for tour because I'm going on a world tour that starts October 10th. So it's not very much time.
Douglas Pollux on Twitter, how did you first get on American Idol? Yeah, if you have nerves, I can't, now when I watch that show, I always think, no, I don't know if I'd be able to step out there through that door. How nervous were you?
It was so scary. And it was extra scary because I wrote an original song to Simon, Randy, and Cara Diagordi, who was my judge at the time. And it was just like a super like overwhelming experience, and I kept saying, I'm gonna sing an original song, and they were like, I don't think you should do that. The producers kept saying you shouldn't do that, but that was what I had prepared, and I felt very confident that I had written something that would make me stand out from the crowd. So it was cool, and that audition, honestly, is probably what helped me get so far in the competition, because my other performances weren't that great. I wish that I could go back to that kid, because I had all these great ideas of these new arrangements I was gonna do and how I was gonna represent myself. They were very true to me, and I didn't do any of them because I was so afraid, and I was out at that time, but not to the public.
Well, you learned something. You got in and you hedged bets a little.
When I got in the car, after I got eliminated, I made a promise to myself from that moment on to never, if I get voted off something else, it will be because I was being myself. It's the worst thing ever to not get something because you were trying to be something that you weren't.
Jennifer Marin on the Larry King Now blog asks, when did you realize that you had become a star?
Oh, yikes, yeah, I don't know.
17 million downloads is a pretty good sign.
I honestly, when people stop me on the street, people always say, you're so sweet for stopping and saying hi and taking pictures and asking questions. I think that because of my career, I know a lot of people who hate doing that, but because I had to like hot glue gun and staple and scotch tape my career together. Like nothing has been handed to me. I don't have management. I don't have a record label. For me to be able to sell records and sell out tours, it was so difficult for me to do that. So for me, I see the hard work that I still have to do, and nothing has gotten easier. In fact, it's gotten progressively more difficult as each chapter goes along for me to be able to keep up the amount of content that I do and to keep stepping up the quality. So I don't feel like a superstar at all. I feel like a regular person that people, that is still hustling and will continue to keep hustling.
Amy Melrose on the Larry King Now blog. How did you and Taylor first meet?
I made a video for her called For Taylor, which was 4 of me singing a compilation medley mashup of my favorite Taylor Swift songs with a little Todrick twist. And I have 2 friends that were singing backup for her in Kansas City, and she was like, bring him to the concert. I went backstage, met her. She was so sweet. She recorded my voicemail message, and I felt like we had a bond, so I just did the most brave thing I've ever done and sent her a direct message on Twitter, because at that point she was only following like 180 people or something. And she responded within 12 minutes and shot me a text message and said, come with us to Vegas on our private jet. And then she started hanging out, coming to see me at Kinky Boots. And one day she called me on FaceTime, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I did something. I don't know why she's calling me on FaceTime out of nowhere. And she was like curling her hair, and she was like, hey buddy, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm all right, you okay? Like, do you need anything? She was like, just calling to talk. And at that moment, I realized like, oh, I think we're friends now. And so then the rest is history. And now I just tell her way too much information about me and the people that I date or that I'm in love with. And she listens to every single one. And somehow amongst all of the craziness in her life, she keeps my life like organized in her mind enough to know what's going on, which I
Swifty,
appreciate.
you got a good friend here. This is a good cat. Big thanks to my guest, Todrick Hall.
Thank
Good to
you
meet
so
you,
much.
man.
It was such
You're
a pleasure to
lovely
talk
guy.
to you. You're hilarious.
You can get his new EP, House Party Part 2. Part 1's been out for a while. Part 2 just came out. It's available now. Check him out in Taylor Swift's video, You Need to Calm Down, which he co-executive produced. A little plug for me. Follow me on my podcast, The Dennis Miller Option on Westwood One. Once again, Larry King, you're a sweet man for letting me sit in. Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, folks.